egg, watch me go against the grain. Persecuted for my Savior's name. Everybody says they for the body until somebody tells them prove it, man. Y'all should say this, you gon' see my sheep.
Let everybody come on in.
When you give a peace, I receive peace when I give a peace. 10% of my increase at least. I ain't talking give it to the pastor, cause me I'm trying to see the life after this one, so I give alms. Cause charity make this Black Lives Matter. I remove the leaven from my batter, cause wisdom I'm trying to have her. So the food I give it be that good food, cause I'm trying to bring forth the kingdom fast. I get good fruit, I must spread the fruit. Push it to my seeds, them is my fruit. Cause when I'm gone, whether I was right or wrong, you can tell what I was on by my fruits. If you like my flow, it's cause you like the book. Cause in my flow, I recite the book. I take no credit, I praise it to the Father. It's poetry, just go take a look. Cause what I say is what the others say. I just say it in a modern way. I am nothing but the dirt. He's the creator, I am just the clay. I'm just trying to emulate and show his ways. Exalt his name and give him praise. Look at my face. In this race, I'm trying to finish first and be glad that I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain.
One thing that I learned since walking down this journey on this narrow road, gotta keep your soul with all diligence, regardless of the code. Hearted all around you, Satan lay the hold up. Keep the faith within you, which is more precious than gold. Give you 10% and reap 100-fold. For everybody wanna know. As soon as your life reflects you as a reader of the Bible and the truth, the faithful seeker. Temptation hit you harder than a fever. Understand how the devil trying to see you. Various trials and temptations, tribulations, all the turn from his mission. Do it, make serving God an issue. Take your soul and then I do. So don't go with the grain, operating the same as everybody else to your demise. Unfortunately, in the later end, you'll realize decline, all by design. Comfort makes you blind. And that's why you keep the law, cause it'll give you right. Redeemed the Redeemer. And following the crowd impairs your ability to see when you're asleep. But nothing but sleep turns unto a dreamer. We in the awakening needs no Dr. King. I'm in that he's even to the belief I perceive it's cheese at the highest name. I'm going in.
Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I used to flip that cocoa. If I love this car, I be vatos locos. Everybody love my car, even the popos. They pull me over just to take photos. I used to wanna be about it, man. Only Almighty I knew what the dollar mean. But the moment that I went against the grain, the Father gave me $1. So on every track, I be giving back. I give them milk instead of Similac. I give them calf if they're needing that. I just give them backs. I used to give them packs. Yeah, I used to be the Pac-Man, but me and the Father made a Pac-Man. The word is my strap, yeah, Pac-Man. The word is my food and I'm Pac-Man. See a lot of brothers talk that Bible talk, but see that Bible walk, they ain't with it. If you don't read the law, you can't live the law. On your head, keep the law like the fitted. I like my people to a hula hoop. We go round and round until we fall, but the saints go marching one by one. Hurrah, hurrah. See when you be at the neck of the enemy with scriptures that cut like a razor blade. See me, I'm coming at your head, boy. With precepts I will give a tape of fade. I'm a child of the ways and a car pathway. Our destination, it ain't the same. To the world, they say do it that way, but like a bald head, I'm going get the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. I'm going egg. Watch me go against the grain. Watch me go against the grain. against the grain, it will
make you wise.
When you go against the grain, it will make you wise.
If you don't by design, comfort makes you blind.
So when you keep the law, it will
Make you wise.
yeah.
You keep the law, it'll keep you wise. Mm, mm. Welcome to the Hebrew state of being. I am your humble servant and host for tonight. I am Kyle. Solo dolo for now, but the family will be coming in shortly. We are on a rip right now, going through Shem. This is cultural appropriation night, so this is a perfect night to go in such subjects. But we're actually on part 3 tonight, all right, of who is Shem, the deep dive into Shem. Well, the first 2 nights we went to scripture as we're supposed to. Genesis 10, Genesis 11. We broke down the nations. We watched certain videos. We went into haplogroups. We went to the haplogroups to get Shem. I see my rivers in the building. We even went to haplogroups to show the migrations, to show the DNA of the people that came from the Shemitic area, the Levant area, and how they migrated to the interiors of Africa, and then showing the Y chromosome of Mr. Andrew Perry that was unbroken, that was in South Carolina. We have really done a dive into who Shem is because as the first night, we watched the Bible Project, and most scholars, especially in the Christian arena, don't bother with finding out who Shem was because Shem is us. I seen the building, Theo, because we are Shem. They don't want us to know who we are. This world and everything in it is an absolute lie. I see my family's in the building. They made it just in time. Yes. My young Hebrew is getting his stuff in order, man. I'm so proud of my man. He is really taking charge. But yeah. So a little, rod helps, as the scripture says, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. We don't do that. So, as we are dealing with Shem tonight, we are in, I see my brother August is in the building, my brother, man, so happy to see you in the building, brother. I see Ronald Green in the building. So, Shem, we went to haplogroups, we went to migrations, we went to scripture, we saw that the nations that are present day right now all come out of this scripture. We proved that there was a DNA on the Western Hemisphere that has no connection to the Eastern Hemisphere DNAs. That means no connection to the atom that comes out of Africa. Ooh. We talking deep here, right? So now we're going to go deeper. Dead Sea Scrolls tonight, right? We are going to go to this website that breaks down the Shem in the Dead Sea Scrolls and connects Shem and shows Shem in the Americas. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I'm talking tonight about Shem in the Americas. We went through 2 nights of understanding the migrations and the split. We also went to the fact that Shem lived for 600 years. 600 years. We only live in what, 100 years if we're lucky. And we're traveling the world. We can literally travel the world from the age of 18 to the age of 70 in this present day with airplanes and boats and submarines and whatnot. You can travel the world 20 years, 30 years. Dedicated to it. Shem has 600 years. 600 years. Before, the flood. So Shem could have gone anywhere. His descendants, as we talk about, got intermingled and entangled with the DNA of the Eastern Hemisphere. So you got to remember, Shem was pure. Shem got off the boat. You know what I'm talking about? Noah had 3 boys. Shem got off the boat pure with a wife, meaning that his bloodline was pure. He didn't have a different seed. He didn't have a different wife. He didn't have a different concubines. I see my brother Yuan in the building. Shalom, Ak. We going deep tonight. We are going against the grain. These are not things that are going to be taught to you in your schools, in your collegiates, maybe in your doctorates, but not in your undergrads. No, no, no. This is doctor level understanding we're going to go into tonight. So we're going to use 2 videos to edify our point. Well, 1 video, and we're going to go to this website right now. Well, we are going to this website here. It's a site. It's a Google site. It's called the Descendants of Shem in North America. Again, I don't want to be long-winded, but before we go into this, because this is things that people have never heard before. These are things that people are not familiar with seeing. They are not familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls, let alone the connections to archaeology that has been dug up in this Western Hemisphere. I told you on the other night that there is Quetzalcoatl, there's many different different tribes that were here at that time. And I told you they burned all of the libraries. They burned everything. So there's no connection, there's no story, there's no nothing that connects. I even saw my boy Chatu put up a text saying that the Hebrews are now saying the Mayans and the Aztecs were Hebrews. Well, if he got that post from being on our show the other night, that's an erroneous post. We're not saying that. We're not saying that the Aztecs and the Mayans were Hebrew. What I stated was that there is murals showing someone being crucified on this side. I also stated that there is no connecting this Quetzalcoatl, whomever that was on their walls being shown in the crucifixion, had any connection to Yahshua. I'm merely putting forth the information. These are murals that's on the walls longer than all of us, showing this X. Now, what he may not know and may not have taken note of is that the crucifixion in the Western Hemisphere is a cross like this. That cross was not the cross that was used in the Hebrews. The Hebrews' last letter was the Tav, and it was a crooked X. At the bottom, the X made a curvature. The mural of the Americas, where the guy is being crucified, it's actually on a Tav. It's on an X and not on. You know what? Let me just pull it up, man, because I'm referencing it, and let me just pull it up right quick. Trying to get these exempt phones for everybody so that they don't have to take that thing. You know what I'm saying? You can see what the screen says right there. Everybody take a good look at that screen because you know they cut videos, you know what I'm saying? But take a good look at what's on the screen right now, and you'll understand what you need to be doing in this hour, just in case you need it, right? I see, oh, Deidre's in the building. Oh, my stepmom in the building. Oh, praises. Yes. So, what we're going to go to is the image as tech. What's uh, I don't know if I'm spelling this name right, but I'm hoping they're gonna help me out. The Quetzalcoatl. Yeah. Here we go. That's the name, Quetzalcoatl, right? Aztec, right? And I'm gonna show you these images of showing the crucifixion on the Americas. All right. Do 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 do. Soon as I'm switching my internet provider tonight, and it seems like it's a little slow. Let me go and do it this way. Let me spell the name right first. Let me do that. Yeah, I don't want to give me the name. Crucify. There it is. So this is the picture I'm referencing. All right. So this is the image of the Quetzalcoatl god that's crucified. That's on the X on the top. If this thing will move, I don't want it to. There we go. That's the one that's not in color. But this is the image of the X of the Quetzalcoatl of the Aztecs that was believed to be their Messiah. This X right here is very similar to the crucifixion that you see here in Americas. Now let me give you the Tav, right? The Paleo Hebrew Tav. So here's your Tav, right? This same thing is X. So the Tav in Hebrew, right, which is in this letter pictured in X, a symbol or sign of covenant. Now understand that what you've been given in the Western Hemisphere through Christianity, they've given you a cross that is like this, that is a temporal cross. When the Romans and the Greeks created Christianity, they also had their alphabet, and they took from the Hebrew letters and created their alphabet. The Hebrew has 22 letters. The Greek alphabet has, I think, 28 or 32, something to that effect. And they changed the last letter to be in the omega. So in your scriptures, you have the alpha and the omega. But in the original Hebrew text, it says from the aleph to the tav, which is this X right here. Aleph to the tav, beginning to the end. That's exactly what this means. The aleph, the head, the tav, the ending, right? So when we look at these ancient symbols that show, when we look at these ancient symbols that show the X, the tav being for us, then you see the ancient symbol of the God being crucified on an actual X, and then you understand what the ideology or the story that was given to us in our New Testament of him being crucified on a cross. Then you look at the two things and you say, well, I'm not saying that the Aztecs were Hebrews. I'm not saying that the Bible is a story about the Aztecs. What I'm saying is that the Aboriginal people here of the Americas were all types of people. Now, as we get on our scholarly thing, right, let's go to our Dead Sea Scrolls information, right? Let's read this. And it says, Descendants of Shem in North America. This publication begins with the historical information from the 4 Atlantis books of Bibles that belong to Shem that were part of the Dead Sea Scrolls collections. Pictures and artifacts are included in verification of the 4 collections. So, as with everything in society, as I stated earlier, everything is a lie and has its spin to it. When we speak about Atlantis, historically, Herodotus, Plato were the ones that first wrote in Greece about this Atlantis that they have never found, that we have many stories of it falling, of it being into the sea, that being destroyed. Well, in some texts, they believe that Tarshish was actually Atlantis, which Tarshish, present day, is Spain. So we understand in our mythical books and mythical traditions that have been passed down about Atlantis that it was in the middle of the sea. Many thought that it was where the Bermuda Triangle is. Many stories about this Atlantis have been purported, but all of them put them on the Western Hemisphere. Every story about Atlantis puts them at the far west of the civilization of the Eastern Hemisphere in the Atlantic Ocean, connected to North America. Now, this thing telling you the Bible of Shem and Atlantis, I'm not giving much credence to that. I'm not going into the Atlantis Bible, but what they're going to do is bring up some DNA and some other information that's needed that we can take and actually chew on. We spit out the bones. At some unknown date, the descendants of Shem were in North America and lived in city groups and had civilized culture. They buried their deceased. They were incorrectly named Clovis hunters by the first American archaeologists. This mistake has been corrected by their iron artifacts found in the cities in the United States. What they mean by corrected is not that these weren't the same people that were Shem that created this Clovis. The Clovis is the arrowhead. Archaeologists in America haven't dug as deep as they've dug in the Eastern Hemisphere to find artifacts of ancient days. So here they've gone only as far as what they call the Clovis level. That is named after these particular Indians, where they found these Clovis point arrowheads. Where he's saying now they have found, as they've dug, iron artifacts along with those Clovis heads. So that means that they were not just Clovis hunters, that they were much more than that. The descendants of Shem had named their language the Armene language. They spoke and wrote the original Armenian Semitic language and left their names and writings on their city walls and on other stones in North America. The artist that painted this picture was well informed and knew about the Great Northern Wagon Road, and he painted a picture of descendants of Shem hunting by the Great Wagon Road. Now I want you to understand that this is all copper colored. So if this is Shem, Shem is copper colored, as we know. And it says, the artist who painted this picture is well informed and he knew about the Great Northern Wagon. However, after DNA testing was developed, extensive DNA testing in both America and Israel provided that the Clovis hunters were the descendants of Shem, the father of Yasharallah, or Jacob. The descendants of Shem are the only race of people that have green eyes and O positive and O negative blood types. Anyone, anywhere in the world has green eye color and either of the O positive or O negative blood types are descendants of Shem, the father of Yasharallah. I'm O negative. I'm just gonna smile about that. So this is DNA. Around 250,000 BC, the Shemitic descendants of Shem invented wheels. The entire length of the Great Northern Wagon in Atlantis was, which is America, was a wagon road. Their road signs of the Great Northern Road was a wagon that was carved on stone in the United States and Canada besides the wagon road. Because the wagon wheels of these wagons made ruts in the soft sandstone and the compacted dirt, too much for new desert plants to grow. In several places, the wagon tracks for the Great Northern Road can still be seen from airplanes in places in the Midwest states and in Alberta, Canada. Several types of ancient wood, stone, copper, and iron wheels have been found in the United States and Canada. The oldest carbon dated iron wheel has been dated to around 2,200,000 years ago. I see my brother Big Chief Black is in the building. This stone in Nevada has received extreme scrutiny from Hebrew language professors and scholars, and for a special reason. The symbol, the symbol names for Adam, Eno, Noah, and Shem were carved into the stone. Starting from the right top side of the stone is the right hand, which is the symbol of the family of Shem. Right hand, the family of Shem. I already know, Chai Tu. I'm glad you on. I just talked about you in your post. I know you was talking about me saying the Aztecs was Hebrews. I didn't say that. I'm glad you on here. That's not what I said. Everybody else heard my intellectual answer to you. I'm just gonna tell you I ain't say that. So this is what I'm saying: is that there were all types of tribes and peoples here. We have archaeological evidence that Shemitic people were here. Are we saying that your tribe is Shemitic, Chaitu? No. Are we saying that all tribes here were Hebrew? No. Are we saying Aztecs and Mayans were Hebrews? No. We saying we were here. Now you can, and all of y'all Aborigine that got all y'all stories, you can say what you want, but you can't deny that we was here. And we ain't trying to make you us. Facts on that. We love who we are. Like I said, oh negative blood, oh positive blood. You know what I'm saying? It's just a thing. When you know who you are, you ain't worried about being nobody else, and you ain't trying to make nobody you. You know what I'm talking about? y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. So let's get it. So it said the right hand. And like we said, we do not subscribe to any Atlantis jargon that's in here. That was created by Plato and Herodotus, even though they got it from the Egyptians. They just made their own stories about it. You know what I'm talking about? So let's go. So it says the first one on the right bottom has an X on its way. Let me go back up to the symbol names for Adam, Noah, and Shem are caved in the stone. Starting from right top side to the stone is the hand in which the symbol for the family of Shem. The first man on the right bottom has an X on his chest. The X, the Tav, mean first. Well, they say the X means N for us in the Tav, because the X is on a man's chest is the symbol name for the first man who was Adam. This symbol name for Adam is in the Atlantis. They have scratched that whole Atlantis Bible and other ancient Bibles also. The next symbol to the right is a son of the left hand, and he does not have anything on his chest. He could be named any name. The next man to the right has an arrow on his chest that points to his grandson symbol, and his firstborn grandson would name back to and his firstborn grandson would name back to Shem again. Then the box with the dot on his body and on his leg is the firstborn grandson of either hand. He was always named back to Shem again. The firstborn son will again become son of the right hand. The firstborn son will again become son of the right hand with the name that could be any name. And the first grandson, yeah, it's right up his site Google page. I'm gonna give that to you. I'll get that to you in a second, no doubt. And this is the first one of the stones right here, so you can check this stone out that has the menorah up there. Boom. Let's go down. Now, this is the part that I want to connect. I'm going to read this part and I'm not going to explain. I'm going to play the next video to give an explanation for what they are saying here. So, and it goes. There were thousands of grandsons named Shem on stone, which is now North America. They say Atlantis, which is now North America, in three ways. Flowing from the dot under the fish means that this Semitic organized name system of the descendants of Shem would repeat it time and time again from grandfather to grandson. Because of the organized naming system of Shem, there are also hundreds of Bible names on the stones of North America too. The Shemitic people that have descended from Shem, the father of Yasharal, including people in, not all the people of North America, including people in North America, are now the most numerous people of the world. It's easily to describe the meaning of the word of Semitic. It is Semitic, but the name of Shem in their language of Armene is now Shem in the English language. There is only one stone in Israel that has the symbol name of Shem, the father of Israel, on a stone. Jewish, which you know who those are, scholars agree that the right-hand symbol name of Shem is on the right-hand side of the stone, as we saw in the Americas, right hand, right? So this is just putting archaeological connections together. But the symbol is slightly different from the symbol name of Shem on the stones in the United States. Facts. Then it says, this is a picture of one of the thousands of stones in the United States that have ancient writings on the stones, and not just ancient writings of Hebrews, ancient writings of all types of nations that was on this part of the earth. Thousands of years later, the Hebrews and Canaan used the identical symbol words that the descendants of Shem in North America used. This chalk stone is in Colorado. Is wrote near the right bottom of the stone. The O's meant gardens. This alphabet has been identified as being Proto-Canaanite system, which has been translated by using the Old Hebrew and Talmudic. I don't know why. I don't know how you could use Talmudic phonic words, but they stole that from Hebrew. All you needed was the Hebrew. This patina corresponds to be the same as the writings found in Harkankum in Israel. How did they all have the same language and tell the same story on opposite ends of the globe? Perhaps our ancient ancestors traveled more than previously thought possible. That's been my whole position right there, that we traveled way more. If we actually lived to 600, 700, 800 years, and we can do it now in 30 years with cars, planes, and boats. And it says, some of the religious writings on these stones are identical to verses in the Old Testament in the Bible. Old Testament is what we stand by, the Torah. The Ten Commandments are wrote on more of these chalk stones, for one example, and some more Bible names are wrote on more of these stones also. Adam, Enoch, Aram, Abraham are examples. Carbon dating of Neanderthal bones in the United States has proved that thousands of years later, the Neanderthals that were in ancient Canaan and wrote using the same alphabet letters. Yes, it has now been verified that the Semitic writings are on the stones in Colorado are the first, they say religious writings. And the writings at Harkankum in Israel were thousands of years later. Thousands of years later. And that's if you want to believe carbon dating. You ain't got to believe none of this. You ain't got to believe none of this. I was talking to my OG today, and my OG hit me off with, I understand where you stand on the scripture. You stand on the words, you know what I'm saying? But I'm connected to the spirit. I do my sun gazing. I'm spiritual. I get my lessons done. I said, my man, when have I ever told you that you wasn't doing the right thing by doing that? When have I ever told you that you had to do what I was doing? When did I ever tell you that you was called to do what I'm doing? Never. What I'm telling you is that you have to be a righteous human being and you got to cleanse your body. And the words that I stand on here are just words that teach me how to do that, because my dad's a liar. My grandfather's a liar. This world is a liar. My teachers was a liar. My professor was a liar. My grandma was a liar. You feel what I'm saying? So I go to these words, then I compare them to other words, and I found that these words, as I told him, are words that I've tested. I ain't telling you to read this rock. As I read this scripture, I change the words in it. They changed the name of the Most High 6,700 times. I'm saying we got to stop being basic. You dig what I'm saying? Let's stop being basic. You dig what I'm saying? Let's elevate. You know what I'm talking about? Let's get the meat and spit the bones out. We got archaeological, if you want to believe in carbon dating, that shows that there was a transfer of information. This doesn't mean that all the peoples here was one. What we're stating is that us as a people, we're finding who we were. We're waking up. We were brought into slavery. We were brought into a sleep. We were given a deception. And we are waking up and looking for the information. And we ain't believing what has been told to us. We're going against the grain. And guess what? If we get some things wrong while we're going against the grain, cool. I'd rather do that than keep drinking the Kool-Aid. I'll take pie in my face all day if I'm wrong. Oh, but I'm going to dig. I'm going to search. I'm going to talk about it because I ain't scared. And neither should y'all. Nobody should be scared to talk about something that they didn't learn. And they should not have some type of macho or some type of ovary thing about them where they can't be told that they're wrong. Or they can't find that what they think is right has some more information. We can talk. Everybody stop being sensitive like these transgenders. Ooh. I'm just saying, man, we just got to stop being sensitive and start talking and giving this language, giving this information, and going back and forth. Because I ain't nobody enemy that ain't mine. I ain't nobody enemy that ain't mine. You know what I'm talking about? So we know that the Neanderthals is what we call mated with fallen angels, the descendants of giants. In Americas, when the Europeans came here and they wrote about the 5 tribes that they found here at the time that they came, Gomerians were the name that they gave for giants. This is the Neanderthals that they're speaking about in this section right here. It's just the descendants of those giants who are a people. And our scripture said, the Most High said, I'm going to raise the people that ain't a people to be over you, because I gave y'all the power when y'all started doing everything my brother Chito and my brother Chatu say. We started being homosexuals. We started sacrificing our kids. We started following the Neanderthals. We started banging the Neanderthals. We did everything. We was wilding. Y'all think that we in this situation because we sinned a little bit? You think we lost, confused, and can't come together to do nothing because we just, sinned a little bit? We had sex maybe just with the wrong people here, there. Nah, man. We foul, created gods. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, yeah, foul. That's why we do what we do right here, to clarify that, because we did so much dirt that it's easy to discredit us of who we are. It's easy to tell us that we ain't no good because that's what we showed. Because we went away from the law. That's why we go back to the law. That's why our code is righteousness. You let these Europeans call it commandments. It's our righteous code. It's the way of the tribe. You know what I'm talking about? So, and it goes, carbon dating of Neanderthal bones in the United States have proved that thousands of years later, the Neanderthals that were in ancient Canaan and wrote using the same alphabetical letters it has now been verified that the Semitic writings are on the stones in Colorado are the first religious writings, and the writings of Harkam in Israel 1,000 years later. Some writings in the stone translated to be published later. Some religious writings on the stones are now being translated to be published later. These writings were the classrooms for the extremely well-educated Shemitic descendants of Shem to study their religious and math of their history. Of who? Of their history. Nobody else's. Of their history. And it says, now when they're going to get into this in the Aramaic, this is where I'm about to go to the video. And the stones in the United States have become the Hebrew University World of Religious Studies. Translation information for the first original Armenian Semitic language from the stones in Colorado, not in the Eastern Hemisphere, but the original Armenian language. Stones in Colorado. These alphabetical letters are identical to the first alphabetical letters of the Hebrew language, the Aleph Bet. In 1999, ViewZone visited and photographed the petroglyphs in Colorado and posted them on the internet for comments. Then, numerous Hebrew language scholars in the United States and from Israel have now translated the writings. Armenian Semitic language that the Clovis hunters wrote in North America was later the first Armenian language. But the first Hebrew language should not be confused with the present Hebrew language. The current Hebrew language is similar to ancient Nazili language used by the Hittites in the ancient land of Canaan. The ancient Nasali language of the Hittites is an altogether different alphabetical letters that are wrote from right to left instead of from left to right as the original Armenian alphabet and the first Hebrew Semitic language was wrote. But the ancient Hebrews were never in North America. Only thousands of years later they were in Mesopotamia. But the ancient Hebrews were never in North America. Only thousands of years later, they were in Mesopotamia and in Canaan is the only difference. The Semitic descendants of Shem named the gardens were some of their writings. So basically what they're trying to say is that the two didn't cross over. That the ones that were in Canaan, that were in there, that were doing that, did not come to the Americas. That these Shemitic people that wrote these things on this side did not interact with them over there. So if they only had a Yasha over there, if they only gave you a Jesus story over there, because they were so filthy that they needed somebody to come and be a sacrifice for their sins. But on this side, that doesn't seem to be the situation. I'm just putting this information out. And it says, the Semitic descendants of Shem named the gardens where some of the writings, here's the thing later, gardens where some of their writings are located at Aktaba. This is where the large amount of religious writings are located. A symbol of LC, I don't know what it is, the top word on the chalkstone. This was the name of a person, and the symbol was his symbol's name. The carving of the left hand of the stone means that he was the son of the second right hand that was not a firstborn son. And under the L is the carving of the man holding the circle with a dot in the circle in his hand. There are 5 of these circles with dots, which meant he had 5 sons at that time. Their firstborn grandson would be named Shem. And at the bottom of the stone are 2 circles that have circles within the circle. They were more than one garden of Aktaba. These circles are the Clovis hunters' symbol words for gardens. Then under the circles is the word Aktaba, Laktador, and his descendants named the gardens where the chalkstone writings are that. So now let's go to the video to further go into this Armenian language and understand the Shemites that were over in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, Eastern Hemisphere. And this is by the Shemites, the line of Shem, Black Israelites. This is by Dante Foreman. We kind of went through the stuff earlier that he had earlier part of this video, so I'll just fast forward to this part for you guys to get. So let's go.
Beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher and builded Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth
See the building Asher.
and Calah.
See
I
the
don't know if
building
I'm pronouncing
Karen.
that right. I told you guys I'm terrible with other languages pronunciation. So out of that land went forth Asher. So Asher came out of a Cushite empire, even though he is an Israelite. I'm sorry, not an Israelite, a Hebrew or a Shemite. Let me back up. Let me not get ahead of myself. He's a Shemite. We'll come back to the Hebrew thing later. So Asher is a Shemite or a person from the line of Shem, a descendant of Shem. He came out of the Cushite empire and he built Nineveh. We're not gonna get into the other two cities, but we're gonna talk about Nineveh right now. So here is a picture of the Assyrians, and as we can see, look at their hair, look at the lips, look at the noses, look at the hair again over here, the beards, the hair, the noses, the lips. These are the Assyrians. This is important because we just saw the Elamites. The Elamites were black. And now we look at the Assyrians and we see that they have black features. So now we have a second son of Shem confirmed to be a dark-skinned people, more than likely.
I hope y'all can hear. Let me know if y'all
On My Heritage, you can build your family tree and make amazing discoveries about your family history really easily. Let me show you how. First, go to My...
I'm not doing that.
Now, before I go there to the next slide, I just want to point something out. People can go back and forth about all this stuff all day, and this is the reason I love to use European sources. I believe these reliefs right here, this picture is found at the British Museum. I think it's the British Museum in London or something like that. If not, correct me and in the comments and let me know. But when you start to dig a little deeper past the surface stuff, people can argue because this doesn't have any color on it, like, oh, they could have been this or that. But we see the facial features, we see the hair, we see the lips, we see the beards, we see the noses. But when you dig into the Hebrew, the Strong's Concordance was not written by black people. And so when we go to Strong's, we see, what do we see here? Proper name, masculine, Ashkur, or Asher, as it is translated. Definition, black and Israelite. Black and Israelite. Proper name, masculine in Judah.
Judah.
Now, we'll come back to that. But again, one more time, black and Israelite. So we have Asher, whose name means black. We see the Assyrians who have black features. We saw Elam, or the Elamites, who are black people, and these people come from the line of Shem, and Shem is the brother of who? Ham. Now, Eurocentric Christian doctrine will tell you that all black people came from Ham, but this is not true. And the Zondervan Bible Dictionary tells you that all the black races except for the Negro came from Ham. And you guys can go on blackhistoryinthebible.com, and if you look up, if you type in the search bar up there, Zondervan Bible Dictionary, you'll see that entry from the Zondervan Bible Dictionary that names all of the Ham, or how all of Ham's descendants, and says that Ham is not the originator of the Negro, or the progenitor, however you want to pronounce it. He's not the father or the starting line for the Negro. This is important, because as we just saw, Shem's line does contain black people. So even Zondervan, who is not a black-owned publishing company, separates the Hamite or the African from the Shemite, the Negro. They look similar, but they are not from the same lineage.
Not at all.
And so this is important.
Can y'all hear
because Eurocentric Christian doctrine and even some of the urban apologetics community will try to convince you that we, all black people, came from the line of Ham. And we know this is not true now just by looking at the first two sons of Shem. So now we see a different relief. This is definitely in the British Museum in London. And so these are the Assyrians right here. I actually tried to put on a setting that said color my mouse. So hopefully you guys are seeing a colored mouse. I don't know what color it's going to be. But here, these are the Assyrians. Same Assyrians I just showed you. You see the beards and you see the hair. These are the Assyrians. And they have captured, these are captives, at Nineveh. This is a relief found at Nineveh. Look at these guys right here. Look at the hair. Look at the beards. Look at the lips. Look at the broad noses. You can see these are not Europeans. These are not Arabs. These are black people, Negroes.
That's right.
We see the hair. The hair gives it all away. But let's not just stop there and make any assumptions. I find it interesting that the more we start digging into this mystery about who we are, the more hard evidence we turn up. And so this is a bigger picture of the relief. You see the Assyrians here. You see some Assyrian soldiers. You see these captives here. You see more Assyrians over here. Some down here. Now this is important. This big scene right here, we have the Assyrians who come from Asher, and as we've seen, the Assyrians have black features. Their brother Elam, who the Elamites are also depicted as black, and so that would tell us that Shem was black. That's the only way you're getting these black people coming out of these lines, right?
That's right.
So I went over to Wikipedia, looked up some information on this picture, and once again, people have a problem with Wikipedia, but I think it's interesting that anybody can contribute to Wikipedia. And the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes you find that academics and people with a lot of credentials like to contribute to Wikipedia. So on this picture, and I did keep part of the picture in there in this screenshot for a reason, so that you know that I'm not making this stuff up. So if you go down here in the picture credits on Wikipedia, the link will be in the notes. You go down into the picture credits and you read the description in English, a summary. It says this: after a long siege, the city of Lachish, however you want to pronounce it, surrendered and the Assyrian army entered the city. King Sennacherib sits on his royal chair. We'll go back and I'll show you that. Surrounded by attendants and great high-ranking official. So King Sennacherib right here, surrounded by attendants and a great high-ranking official. This guy right here. These are the Assyrians, as I told you. So they had sieged the city. They went in. It says, the king reviews Judean prisoners. These guys right here, the ones that look like black people, Judean prisoners. The cuneiform inscriptions read, Sennacherib, king of the world, king of Assyria, sat on the throne and the booty of the Lachish passed before him. Wall relief from Southwest Palace at Nineveh. I'm not even going to try to pronounce all of this. Mesopotamia, Neo-Assyrian period, 700 to 692 BCE, the British Museum in London. So Sennacherib, he's the king. He's surrounded by his attendants. These are the Assyrians, the ones with black features. These are the Judean prisoners. Now, people are saying, well, this is Wikipedia. How can we trust it? So it tells us the author, Osama Shakur Mohammed Amin. That's the most Arab name I've ever heard of in my life. And then you see these letters after him, right? This is Glasgow, short for Glasgow, Germany. These are credentials, FRCP. So I decided to click it because I didn't want to just say, okay, well, this is the guy who did it. Go do your own research. No, I'm not that type of teacher. I don't tell you to go look it up yourself without providing you the source. I'll provide you a source and say, hey, go follow up and check this out if you want. Now, this source says his own work. Now, usually people reference other stuff for sources, but let me show you this guy, because I went and looked at it and I was like, okay, let me see who this guy is. Who am I? He has a whole section right here. Dr. Osama Shakur Mohammed Amin. Look at all these letters behind his name. I went and looked these up. You should go look these up and see what these letters mean. It means this guy knows what he's talking about. It means this guy is educated. This means this guy is involved in a lot of official work stuff. I feel like he was in school his whole life to get all these letters behind his name. He talks about his interest in photography and all that stuff, and he takes these pictures himself. He travels around the world because of all these letters in his name that when you look them up, you'll see why. You see these pictures right here of all his colleagues and academic achievements and all this. He takes these pictures himself. And so you can go look this guy up and verify what I'm saying. But more importantly, I want to put this up here because he's not a black guy. A lot of the urban apologists and Eurocentric Christian teachers like to say that we have an agenda when we teach this stuff. We have an agenda. We're making this stuff up, or we're reading into the documents and the text and the pictures and all that. This guy is not black. I'm assuming he's Arab based on his name. The assumption is that he is Arab. And it was him that said, these are Judean prisoners. Judean prisoners. Again, look at the hair, look at the nose, look at the lips. These are Judean prisoners. So let's continue. Judea, I went to the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's their 250th anniversary they're celebrating. Encyclopedia Britannica says this: Judea, also spelled Judea or Judah, Hebrew, Yehuda, the southernmost of the three traditional divisions of ancient Palestine. The other two were Galilee in the north and Samaria in the center. No clearly marked boundary divided Judea from Samaria, but the town of Beersheba was traditionally the southernmost limit. The region presents a variety of geographic features, but the real core of Judea was the upper hill country known as her Yehuda, hills of Judea, extending south from the region of Bethel at present-day Ramallah to Beersheba and including the area of Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and Hebron. So, Judea, he called these the Judeans, these guys that look black. And here in the Encyclopedia Britannica, Judea is also referred to as Judah or Yehuda. This is not a black-owned source. So when they say that we have an agenda, they have to explain why these Europeans and these Arabs are also saying the same thing that we're saying. He called those guys Judeans. The Encyclopedia Britannica links the Judeans to Judah. This is going to be important later on, which is why I'm laying the groundwork now. So let me intro that before I go to that next one. So we see that the Judeans are depicted on the wall with Negro features. We see that a Middle Eastern man says that these are definitely Judeans. We see the Encyclopedia Britannica linked them to Judah. And so one of the other pictures I found during my journey was this relief of King David.
A lot of people say we never
existed.
And
you see King David is depicted with brown skin. Look at the hair. Look at the hair.
King David.
Look at the skin tone. This is King David, how they believed King David looked. And this is from the 11th century.
11th century.
The 11th century,
that's
people thought King David
AD.
had dark browns or brownish skin. He wasn't depicted as white or with red cheeks or blushing or any of that stuff. He was depicted with black hair. It looks like black people hair and with brown skin. Now, you are familiar with this picture if you watch part 1, the tomb of Watai, 4,400 years ago. I also mentioned in part 1 that the Israelites were being mistaken for Egyptians. So look at the color of the Egyptians here in this picture and look at the color of David. See, there's a consistency when you start to talk about truth. You start to find that things are very, very, very consistent. And we're going to come back to the reference to ruddy skin color in a later video.
Ruddy, baby. I will be ruddy.
I'm going to point out why the description of ruddy is important. And I'm going to answer some of the objections that I've received based on people who adhere to what they've heard or what they've been taught versus what they've went and searched out.
It's Ruddy Swarty.
So before I continue,
Red is black.
because we're about to get into some deep stuff before I leave off on this. Like I said, it's going to be a short video. We have.
Why dating a young Latin woman is a good option?
Really? Y'all date?
Why don't young Latin...
Get on a dating site, everything gonna be all right. You gotta think about
we
that
have
in the world.
the Assyrians who come from Asher. The Assyrians have Negro features. Asher's name means black. It says Israelite. We know Asher's linked to Shem. We have the Judeans who look like they have Negro features. The Judeans are linked to Judah. We have a picture of King David, which is consistent when the Bible says that the Israelites were mistaken for Egyptians. The skin color is consistent in these paintings. This is 4,400 years ago. This is a painting done in the 11th century. So whoever, and it says a Bristol Psalter. Let me see. Yeah. So anyway, 11th century. You guys can go chase down some of that stuff right there. I haven't really chased down the Bristol, whatever Bristols are. I'm guessing this probably has something to do with Britain. I got to chase that down. So the Bristol Psalter, believed to be a Byzantine Psalter written in the 11th century in the ancient Greek. The Psalter has 14 odes and the apocryphal Psalms 151. The exact provenance is unknown, described as an unnoticed Byzantine Psalter in a 1921 magazine article. Image, King David with his musicians. Just want you to look at it one more time before I continue. And if I seem a little off right now, I'm actually a little tired. I've been up all night. But yeah, same skin color. Just want to drive that point home. So now, something else I run across that was pretty interesting to me. I had seen the Black Virgin of Montserrat, and I had seen the depictions of Black Christ. But the conception of the Holy Virgin Theotokos. Now, this was interesting because Theotokos is the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, or the Holy Virgin Mother of God, Theotokos, Mother of God. Now, on the right, we see the original. This original was actually dedicated December 9th, I want to say 2016 or somewhere around there. You'll have to look that up. I'll actually put a link in the description for you so you can go run that down easily. But this was dedicated or commemorated in the Orthodox Church. And I'm talking about all Orthodox churches. The one on the right as the original, they commemorated that. And that tells me that the Orthodox Church is not just, they do have a Ethiopian Orthodox Church, but they have some other Orthodox churches. But they are made up of lots of different races around the world. And they all commemorated the one on the right, the image of Anna, who is the mother of Virgin Mary, the mother of God. They believe that this is acceptable. The black woman with a black man, which tells me if they accept a black mother of Mary and a black father of Mary, they must believe that Mary is black and so Christ is black. And on the left, we see
1 + 1
a repainting, a whitewashing of the original. Just look at it. Everything is very similar, except the bed. They made some changes back here, of course. But everything is very similar. The way they're standing, the way they're holding each other, the halos on the head. They went out of their way to change the skin color. They changed the skin color on purpose. Because if we start talking about Mary having a black mother, of course people are going to have questions. Wait, if Mary's mother and father is black, that means Mary's black.
Got to be.
And if Mary's black, what does that mean? That means Christ is black. Well, the Bible already told us that Christ was bronze. The problem is people just don't want to accept it. They want to try to explain it away as something else, when the Bible is very clear what color Christ was. So with that said, I told you I was going to keep it short. I just wanted to get that quick little bit out there because there's so much more stuff we need to cover. And since we're going to be spending so much time on the line of Shem and the Israelites, I didn't want to make a super long video. I just want to show you some of the stuff that convinced me that I was on the right path to finding out who the true Israelites were. And one more side note on the Judeans. I actually discovered the Judean information by accident when I was researching Asher. Because when I ran across the Assyrian information, I was like, that's interesting. And I was like, wait, who are these guys here? So when I started researching Asher, of course, you run across information and you find out, okay, comes from Nineveh, and you start to dig into Nineveh. Well, this is going to shed some light on the situation with Jonah when Jonah was told to go to Nineveh and to preach to them so that they would repent. That's going to come up later on too. So for those of you who are serious about study, make sure you grab an Ultimate Bible Companions. It's my own line of notebooks that I created. Traditional line paper and dotted notebook paper for those of you who like to take notes in a traditional or a non-traditional method. Also comes with tons of features like charts, weights, times, links, and maps. I try to put a bunch of stuff in there that you would not get in your study Bible, such as more maps to Africa, stuff that they're not going to give you in the European created study Bibles. It's available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Again, if you're not subscribed yet, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video because we're going to get into some deep stuff a little later on. Again, just had to get this out there today so that you guys would be aware of it. In part 3, I'm going to talk about the Gentiles, the line of Japheth. And I'm going to.
So, as my brother has spoken, like I said, do check out his channel, Dante Forster, and he also has Teo Ministries. Brother does some very good research. Dante Forston, Fortson. The Shemites, the line of Shem, Black Israelites, and that's only part 2. Like he said, he has a whole series that he's done on it. So for us tonight, to round up our story for tonight, our show for tonight, because Friday, Shabbat, we're going to wrap everything up and it'll be the last one of Shem. But just to reiterate our understanding, just to let me go back. What is that? The Armenian language, same as what we would call the Assyrians, right? This languages that they are stating, and this is the one I wanted to get to. Did I do that one yet, y'all? No, I didn't do that yet. This map thing, I'm not gonna go into this map thing. So chalk stones were used as newspapers, and as they were put on the chalk stones different information, stories of their generation, right? So it says the language has been passed down through thousands of generations to us with very little change, except many new words have been added. But the same first and same Hebrew language has been completely changed into a different language in the country of Israel. We know they added the Yiddish. Many of the chalk stones are generally known as newspapers of history stones. At different times through the generations, important events were written on these stones. The teachers could bring the students to the stone to learn their history. There are 12 words on this stone. that are wrote in the present English language. On the top left of the stone, to the bottom word is Shem. Then near the top center of the stone, two of the words are Atlantis and Virgin. So you notice what they say right here, right? This is in English. They would have never wrote in English. The stone in the Negev desert in Israel has identical alphabet letters as the newspaper stones in the United States. And on the stones are the identical letters of the original Armenian alphabet letters in North America that are in Israel too. That's the part of the meat that we chew, that the languages are connected from both hemispheres. So we're going to leave off with the Dead Sea Scrolls. We're going to read a piece here from 11Q. It says, the sons of light and a lot of darkness shall battle together for the Most High's might. Between the roar of a huge multitude and the shout of gods. Y'all listen to this. Now, this we talking about in days. We're talking about the battle to come. We're talking about as we are waking up as a people and knowing who we are. What is this crescendo coming to? What is all this world coming to? What is all of the drama? Where is it going to rise to? What is going to be the end? The world tells us revelations and it speaks about all of these seals being broken and angels doing this and the world going through this. But in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they speak of that too, but they speak of our participation. And it says the sons of light and a lot of darkness. That means the people that's in iniquity, the people that want to stay in Babylon, shall battle together for the Most High's might. Between the roar of a huge multitude and the shouts of gods and of men on the day of the calamity. So the Dead Sea Scrolls is saying there's going to be a big battle royale. So bad that mixed multitudes, all nations, it don't matter what you are, all nations are going to go through this. That the sons of light are going to fight the ones of darkness. And the ones that are lukewarm, that don't know where they are, I don't know, I'm just confused. You're going to be in horror, screaming because you won't know what to do. You're going to be seeing things going all around you. You're going to be seeing images come out the air. But us, the Judeans, the Hebrews, the Ivri, the Shem, we study to show ourselves approved. We're going to know what to do. We're going to be fighting. That's what we all want. I'm a warrior. I couldn't do Christianity because you tell me to turn the other cheek. I couldn't be a libertarian because they say I can't go to war. Nobody's going to piss on my shoes and tell me it's raining. We're going to go to war. It says that the mixed multitudes are going to be in horror, screaming, and the gods, the ones that these mixed multitudes been praying to, these assortment of spirits that they've been praying to, oh, the Most High has a plan for them. They're going to be screaming as well in pain. It said it will be a time of suffering for all the people redeemed by the Most High. That's us. Of all their suffering, none will be like this from its haste until eternal redemption is fulfilled. And on the day of their war against Kittim. Now we told you that Kittim was Rome. This is the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's not. This is the ancient text. And it says we're fighting Rome. See, that's the thing that's missing in Revelations. See, Revelations don't tell you that the whore is the Pope. But here in Dead Sea Scrolls, it tells you Kittim. It tells you go and look up who Kittim is. Kittim is Rome and Greece. They shall go out to destruction. In the war, the sons of light shall be the strongest during the 3 lots. So they're saying, they're predicting 3 lots. Ooh, is that 3 years? Ooh, my man, my brother, the Rock Bar broke down that 70 in this song of the 70 years of suffering, and there's 3.5 years left. Whoa. You got the tribulations of Jeremiah, 7 years. Oh, this saying is 3 lots in order to strike down the wicked. They shall be the strongest during 3 lots in order to strike down wickedness. And in there others, the army of Belial will gird themselves in order to force the lot of to retreat. The infantry battle station, battalions, the infantry battalions shall melt the heart, but the Most High's might will strengthen the heart of the sons of light. And the 7th lot, the Most High's great hand will subdue Belial, and all the angels of his dominion, and all the men of his lot, the holy ones will shine out to assist the truth for the destruction of the sons of darkness. See, that's what we're waking up for. And I was telling my brother, my OG, because we talk and pontificate about the glorious bodies that we're going to get when the Most High comes, when that sun out there, that luminary continues to get closer to this earth, and our metabolism and our bodies start to change and start to rise because we're getting ready for the war. Because sons of light mean we got to be full of light. Where do you get light from? Where does the moon get the light from? Oh. This is deep, baby. You ever sun gazed before? You ever ate dinner off of the sun? You been healed by the sun? What's one of the biggest things they tell you in order to fight this respiratory disease? Is vitamin D. Where that come from? The sun. And vitamin C. And where does that come from? Through the citrus plants that the sun gives light to. Oh. Y'all gonna make these connections, man, about who the sons of light is and how you gonna get it and how you gonna rise up and be ready for war. Every day the Most High has us going through war. We are fighting every day the iniquity, the multitude of lies that's in this world. We are fighting every day to keep our truth, to keep our spirit clean, to keep our thoughts pure, righteous. Yes, when the sun's facts, you know what I'm talking about, brother Adon? We are always fighting to have peace. Most High says, that's what you're getting ready for the war I'm going to have you go against. Keep doing those push-ups. Keep running. Keep working out. Keep doing mental gymnastics. Keep seeking me. Keep sharpening your iron by speaking with others. Give your knowledge out. He said, because I want you to know the truth. Because somebody else may have the truth that you need. You may be coming with a partial truth and some lies. And that person can give you the truth. They ain't got to walk your walk. They got to be a Hebrew. If you are seeking true knowledge, if you are a person that wants truth, period, no matter what you call yourself, then you should be open to truth and be seeking it and hoping that it comes to you. Because if you're truly about truth, then a lie just doesn't sit with you. It curves, it vexes your spirit. It vexes your spirit. So get out of here on Psalms 151. I was always the youngest among my brethren, and a youth in my father's house. I used to feed my father's flock, and I found a lion and a wolf, and slew them and rent them. My hand made a flute, and my fingers fashioned a harp. Who will show me my Adonai? He, my Adonai, is become my Elohim. He sent his angels and took me away from my father's flock and anointed me with the oil of anointing, Messiah. My brethren the fair and the tall, in them the Most High had no pleasure. And I went forth to meet the Philistine, and he cursed me by his idols. But I drew his sword and cut off his head, and took away the reproach from the children of Yasharallah. This is King David. In the video I showed you was a black man that was fighting the Philistines, which are present day Palestinians. See, this ain't ancient history. It's right here. It's right in your face. You live in it. You are history. What part are you going to play? You're going to play the part the Most High needs you to be a son of light, to fight darkness? Or are you going to succumb? Or are you going to succumb to the darkness? That's the only question. If you ask yourself, why am I here? What's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to bring light. However you go about that, that's on you, between you and your Creator. But the job of life is to bring light, to bring life, to bring joy. Stop making excuses about how hard your life is, that you can't bring light, that you got to be about problems, you got to be about the sorrows and the ills of the world, that you got to talk about gossip, that you got to talk about wars, you got to talk about backstabbing. You ain't got to do none of that. But what you need to do is bring that light. That's what you need to do. Because if you can bring light, that means that you are light. Oof, all praises to the Most High. With that said, we will see you guys on Shabbat and wrap up our Shem. Oh yeah, this